as it does move away from us and eventually vanishes, I should say, from our view. So right now we do want to bring in Dr. Leroy Choi. He is a former NASA astronaut and retired International Space Station commander. Good morning to you, Dr. Chiao. Good to see you this morning. Okay, tell us about this asteroid. What happened? Because last week we were preparing people for the possibility that it could hit Earth. Now they're saying it's not going to. What happened?
Right. So, these kinds of things, you have astronomers making measurements, making observations using resources like the James Webb Telescope, like the Hubble Space Telescope. And based on these measurements, they can project using computer models what might happen in the future. And so the models showed that there might be a confluence with Earth in 7 years from now. And so as you refine those measurements, they're going to change other orbiting bodies, generate gravity, and that's going to influence the orbit of everything out there. So this is not an exact science. It's not a surprise that things have been changing, quite dynamic. And remember, we're only looking at this one thing. There's, a countably infinite number of orbiting bodies and out there in the universe. Earth gets hit every day. Most of the smaller stuff burns up in the atmosphere, but the bigger pieces do make it down. Fortunately, most of the Earth is, over 70% is water, and we have other vast areas of emptiness that most of these things fall in. So really not a big deal. As far as the moon goes, well, that's another orbiting body that you've got to take into account. So is it really going to hit the moon? Well, I don't know. We'll see. The moon gets hit literally every day. And that's why the surface of the moon is covered with dust called regolith, because of all these meteor impacts that it hits it every day.
Dr. Chiao, you said this is not an exact science, and we obviously appreciate that, that things do change. So one question I have is, could it change again? Could this asteroid become a threat to Earth in the future? And what are we gaining from the studies that are going on surrounding this asteroid right now?
Oh, sure, absolutely. And, I would say you can certainly expect the estimates to change as we get closer to this possible confluence. They're going to be continuing to make observations. Its orbit's going to be varying slightly, things like that. So, yeah, we're definitely going to see those numbers change. But, asteroids are pretty interesting objects. A lot of them are full of different kinds of metals. There have been people proposing almost science fiction-like ideas of sending, there have been many movies on it, sending perhaps even astronauts to go mine these metals out of these asteroids. That's a little bit far-fetched with today's technology and where you might get investors for that. But interesting to think about. But we do learn a lot about asteroids. One of the things that we've learned from comets and other things that we've landed vehicles on and taken samples, we've seen some of the building blocks of life in some of these bodies. So it's really, really fascinating, amino acids, methane, things like that.
Yeah. Well, it does actually sound like something out of a movie to go mine an asteroid. So we'll have to wait to see if that ever does happen. But some valuable advancements that we have been able to get. And like you said, very fascinating information. And thank you for the fascinating conversation this morning, Dr. Chiao.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Joe?
Okay.